We have a little time for a Q&A. I will come out to the audience for some questions, so get your mind thinking, and we'll throw them out to Paul and Isabelle. But I'll start first with a couple. And Paul, I'll start with you. The film is based on a novel, a French novel, Oh, that was that was written, I think, 4 years ago. Can you tell us what compelled you to tell this story now and work with this novel?
Well, I got the book was sent over to me when I was living in Los Angeles by a French producer, Saïd Ben Saïd, with just a question if I wanted to make a movie out of that. And so I read the book and I felt it was something I had never done before, as you might partially understand, I think. And that was extremely attractive. I always feel that it is important to do things you have not done before, because then you are more inspired. I mean, I never did sequels, and many times offered to me, but I felt that then the initial adventure, even the initial fear of not being able to do it, that would be gone. And so this was something really that I had never done in my life, and doing it in French was certainly also a kind of an adventure. Oui.
Can you talk about that? I mean, French is not your native language, and if I understand,
English.
And if I understand correctly too, the script was originally taking place in Boston, in the United States.
Well, of course, the original novel was situated in Paris, of course, and was written in French. It was a French writer. But in the beginning, we thought, Said and I, we thought that this would be an American movie. And so I basically approached an American scriptwriter, David Burke. You saw him on the credits, that I knew from another project, if he wanted to do this. So we translated the novel into English. Then basically we made a cultural reversal, isn't it? Paris had to be, we thought perhaps Chicago, Boston, or Seattle. So we Americanized everything. Then we found out that neither from a financial point, but even more so from an artistic point of view, nobody wanted to do it. There was really no actress in the United States of any name that said yes. In fact, it was a very clear no. And after having dwelt on that for 2 months, Said called me and said, "What are we doing? I mean, we have it is a French novel and situated in Paris, and we know that we have a wonderful actress wanting to do it, with Isabelle." So then he asked, "Are you daring to do this in French?" And so I took a deep breath and I said yes. And then basically I started to really get enormous headaches for 5-6 months, till I basically started shooting and then disappeared. Yeah.
And you learned French as well.
Yeah, well, I had been in France when I was 17 for a year, and I went to a crash course in Holland, where you speak 8-10 hours a day. So I did that for a week, and then I promised the crew and the cast that I would never speak English anymore. I mean, she can confirm, I think.
Excellent. Isabelle, you were amazing in this film. Absolutely amazing. Yeah. And I think I did some research, and you've been in over 130 films over your career. More or less, which is incredible. And we have Isabelle actually in another film here at TIFF, Souvenir, and you're also doing our In Conversation with session, I think with Piers Handling tomorrow, so if anybody's interested,
and another
don't
one
have tickets.
To come.
Now, you've played a number of very challenging roles in many films from the 130. Can you tell us, and now with ELLE, of course, this film especially, can you tell us what compels you to these roles? Is there anything in particular?
I think I don't see the challenge. It's very normal for me. I never take them as challenging roles or daring characters, or no, I just do them and try to make them as, I wouldn't say human, because it's not my problem to make a character human, but just no, just as normal as possible, or to get to a certain truthfulness of those characters. And I think when I start a film like this, I don't really know what I'm going to do. And I think that's exactly, I try to follow more the pattern of life. You don't know what you are going to do in life, and I think it's the same for a role like this. I predict nothing. I just do it day by day, and then I've learned to discover the character as I do it, but I don't have any ideas before I'm going to do it. I think that's what's most exciting for me, of course, with the chemistry with a great director like Paul. That's how I do it. And so it's all very easy for me to do.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
I'll throw it out to the audience. Is there anyone that has a question out there? And if you're up in the balcony, just right up here in the front of the balcony. Yes, that gentleman there. Are you speaking to Isabelle or to Paul? So the question is, who are your artistic influences? Who have been your artistic influences?
Well, clearly Hitchcock, to a certain degree here, and Buñuel, and then perhaps a couple of others. Fellini for camera moves and all that stuff, which you basically see in 8.5 and Dolce Vita. So I think these are the important impressions, basically, when I was young and basically looking at movies just as somebody that is not a film director yet. But I think that's it about these. There are about 10 or 15 but basically the ones that were most important basically was probably Buñuel and Hitchcock, certainly if you look at this movie. I mean, there is the movie of Buñuel, La Belle de Jour, which is at least comes a little bit in the direction of what we did here.
Definitely. Yes, the young lady over here. The question was if Paul had seen Isabelle do another role that, in particular, that intrigued him enough that he saw Isabelle playing this part.
Well, I'd seen many of her movies, in fact, throughout the years, so I knew her, and but I didn't know her. I mean, we met once in the Cinémathèque Française, and but I knew that she could do everything. I mean, that's what I got from her career. I didn't doubt for a second that she could do this. I mean, because I've seen done so many different things that I think she's the most amazing actor or actress I've ever met in my life.
Isabelle, it's very true. You've done so many different roles. Is there a role that you haven't done, a dream role that you would love to play?
No, I don't have a dream role. I have dreams. I like everybody. But whatever dreams I have, I'm able to put it in any role. So it's very easy. And I have dreams of working with certain directors, mainly those who want to work with me first. And I mean, you know, I don't like to vainly want to work with someone unless he doesn't want to work with me. But as for having a dream role, no, plus I was really gifted and I've made so many different roles. But again, I think you built up a role with fantasies and with, you know, your inner thoughts and whatever it's a bit like cooking, you know. You can take the leftover from the eve and put everything in the next dish the next morning, and I think acting is about the same, you know. You take whatever lingers in your mind and you put it. Plus, I do think that I never made any separations between comedies or dramas or things like this, and that film, for example, is the living proof of it. It's at the same time so deep and so, not dark, but deep, and so, and at the same time it's full of irony, so it's the perfect example on how you can mingle, you know, the drama, the depth, the inner thoughts, and some more comic aspect to it. So, voilà, that's the way it works.
The gentleman over here, yes.
Well, you know that I'm a big fan of Jesus, huh?
Let me repeat the question
And
first.
an atheist. So,
The gentleman was
y-
asking
and
about
my relationship to religion and let's say and the Catholic Church is complex, I would say. And we all know about what happened not only recently but you could say for the last 2,000 years behind the curtains in the Catholic Church. I mean, we're talking about pedophilia, clear. And I thought that this was partially the woman, basically, that is Roman Catholic. I tried to portray her as honestly as possible, at the same time realizing that there was some secret behind her that is really revealed in the last minute of the movie. I mean, so you could call it perhaps an attack or an observation of the Roman Catholic Church.
Okay, we have time for one more question, and I am going to go over to the gentleman over here. Yeah.
I haven't read the book, so I don't know what the ending of the book was, but was the ending that you shot in the movie always the intended ending?
The question the gentleman asks is the ending, is it the same ending as it is in the book? Was it always the intended ending of the film?
Yes. In fact, yes. I mean, the ending in the book is really where the two women walk away, and the last thing you hear is, and that's also in the movie, is Isabelle, Michelle, the character, saying, "Oh," and that's the name of the book, of the novel. Is called "Oh," like "Oh," and that was really the last word of the novel is "Oh," and. Of course, you change around and do a lot of. I mean, for example, that scene before with Rebecca and Michelle, the last scene, was not in the book. That statement of her was not in the book. That was added to an American scriptwriter. So don't say it's the French, you know.
Oh, that's in the book.
That's the book. Oh, yeah, so that's all the book, yeah, sure. Now we try to, I mean, I like the book, and I always feel when you like something, you should not try to improve on it. I mean, you're still often seduced to do differently, and for like putting, let's say it would be probably very American, or at least James Bondish, to start with the rape in the beginning. But the book, just exactly what we shot is exactly what's in the book. You start in the aftermath of the rape, basically. You look to see, here you see the cat, but you don't see the rape. And later, the rape is revealed. And so we took the structure of the book very seriously. I thought basically that Philippe Dijon had written a very clever, let's say, story narrative, and I thought we should not think that we would know better.
Paul, Isabelle, thank you so much for bringing the film here. Ladies and gentlemen, Paul Verhoeven and Isabelle Huppert.
Thank you, Mr. Roper. Thank you.